Second consecutive weekend of a topsy-turvy events in regards to the 2024 presidential election, and much like what happened last weekend, okay, nothing quite as graphic, of course, ended up happening here, okay? It is something that is very catastrophic to the overall happenings, but it's also something that you kind of thought was going to end up happening. Okay, Joe Biden has officially dropped out of the race. I was kind of thinking that this was going to end up happening on Monday, and yeah, that would have been a little bit more helpful for, certain content creators, but hey, you got to talk about this right now because next week, boy, she's going to be crazy. And in the lead up, because what is it, August 19th, the DNC officially kicks off. From here until probably, January 21st of 2025, it's going to be crazy times in politics. So let's get through Joe Biden's letter that one of his aides wrote for him, because let's be completely honest, okay? If a man signs his name like that going forward, okay, let's blow this up just a little bit, okay? Yeah, if he writes with that few scribbles that kind of looks like R/Judas, you think he got out his typewriter and banged this out? Yeah, I don't really think so. Okay, so we'll just gloss over this because a lot of it is, oh, we did a bunch of good stuff and all that shit. This is all great. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Well, not really. I dispute that, but I know none of you could have done without you, the American people, to get it together. We overcame once a century a pandemic and the worst economic crisis is the Great Depression that a lot of my colleagues have helped facilitate and prolong. We protected ourselves and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. Well, it may be my intention. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is for the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. Yes, this is Mr. 81 million votes. 81 million votes, the overwhelming, most popular president of all time, has to sunset his political career on the doorstep of a second term. I will speak to the nation later this week with more details about my decision. And yeah, this is where it's gonna get interesting, because what is the Democratic Party to do? Because we know at least Biden's short-term prospects going to be the president. Okay, so if this was about the health of the nation, and he didn't think that he was fit to go through the election process, if he didn't think that, hey, an 85-year-old president as early as last week, that would have been totally fine and well and good, but now all of a sudden, yeah, for the long-term health of this country, don't really necessarily think that that's going to be the best course of action. What changed? Okay, so this is where I separate from a lot of people that think that, oh, just putting the old man up there, that's elder abuse. This is Joe Biden, okay? This is a Joe Biden decision. He cut a deal. I'll serve out my term, okay, instead of you guys having the opportunity to simply create the first female president. No. I'll serve out my term. I will go ahead and endorse Kamala moving forward, and we'll see this shit out. So no, this isn't the machinations of the deep state. Okay, they did the legwork early in his presidency, well, actually prior to when it all happened, but we need not tread that well-worn ground. We have such new and exciting horizons to peer upon as, yes, Joe has totally and fully endorsed Kamala Harris, my fellow Democrats. Again, something else that he didn't write. I have decided not to accept the nomination and focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president. Sure, somebody who was so popular in the primaries, in the Democratic primaries leading up to 2020, that she had to drop out because she couldn't even register a singular popularity percentage point. But yes, that was the obvious decision to make, right? And it's been the best decision I've made at Press X to doubt. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee for our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Yes, beat him about the head, neck, and chest, because that's exactly what Kamala knows what those areas are best served for. And yes, he fires off that endorsement at a 12:15 this afternoon, fires off the first official announcement, okay, a half hour earlier, and then in incredibly short order within the next couple of hours, Harris for president, everything is starting to move forward. Kamala Harris makes it official. The Biden for President Committee has changed its name to Harris for President. So yeah, moving all of those funds over from Biden over to Kamala. Oh, it really does seem at this point in time she's going to be the presumptive nominee. But brother, I got to tell you something, okay? Because if you think that the decision for Joe Biden to be removed was the Democrats simply looking at the numbers and going, yeah, we can't win with Biden, why would you go with the only person that under every single metric is worse off than Joe? The favorability rating, 35%, unfavorable at 46%, and that is ABC, that's Ipsos, one of the most democratically biased polls that you are likely to see. Numbers for her approval rating are consistently worse than even Joe's, which are historically bad. And then you look at the betting markets, which are far more reliable than a lot of the polls that are out there. And yeah, Trump opens up, okay, as nearly a 3-1 favorite. I don't get it, man. I don't understand this at all. And there is no super ticket that Kamala can go ahead and put together. So I'm just kind of thinking, man, because as Joe said, I'm going to be stating my intentions for later this week. And the DNC is obviously going to have to clarify what it is they're going to be doing moving forward. Because, yeah, Joe can just go ahead and, hand over all of his delegates to Kamala. But are they going to be satisfied with these numbers? Are we going to have to go ahead and take a look at the other prospects? Because I can see two different directions that the Democratic Party is obviously looking to go down. And yeah, if they go with Kamala, I think that they've resigned to the fact that they're just not going to beat Trump, okay? The man is too popular right now, too galvanized, and especially after what happened last weekend, it would literally have to take another miracle in order to beat this guy. So yeah, either they go with Kamala, or there could be another outside chance, and he's actually on that list right there. Do they extend an olive branch off to RFK? Okay, because he's still out there, right? Like, he still has a campaign, I guess, potentially. Who knows? It's a name, okay? He's somebody that, isn't currently on their roster of future prospects, okay? And if they want to burn him, well, they can go ahead. But then it still looks like they're trying to put up a fight, because anybody with just simple access to the internet knows that, yeah, Kamala not polling well at all whatsoever. Any metric, it's a lame duck nomination. Okay, like there's no enthusiasm behind a Kamala Harris. Who knows? Like, who would be dumb enough to be her VP pick? Okay, who would want to sink their long-term political aspirations by attaching themselves to one of the most unpopular politicians of all time? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So then you run down the rest of that list. So yeah, okay, if they go with Harris, if they go with Kennedy, they've resigned to the fact that, yeah, we're not going to win 24. We'll just look ahead to 28. We'll just try to marshal our forces. Or if they end up trying to pull a fast one by pulling somebody off their bench, somebody with immediate name recognition, okay, somebody like, yeah, Gretchen Whitmer, who has been posting a hell of a lot of stuff, okay, she has been banging the drum about how January 6th was terrible and continues to be terrible, and she also has the built-in excuse of, oh, the FBI, oh, I'm sorry, the dastardly Trump supporters tried to kidnap me back in 2020, remember? Totally believe that. Don't look at any of the fallout of any of the trials, or don't do any, cursory research, or check out Radix Verum. Shout out to her. All of her excellent work in debunking that crazy shit, 12 FBI informants, but it was definitely a militia group that tried to kidnap Whitmer. So she has that. She could end up running. The DNC could go ahead and go, that's our gal. But I kind of think that they're holding back on her, keeping her ready for 28, just like Gavin Newsom. Okay, again, somebody else who's very front-facing, very publicly facing. But the reason that I don't think that they want to burn those nominees is because they've seen what the Republicans did with the likes of Ron DeSantis. Okay, he was the poster child. He was the chosen one. You were supposed to inherit MAGA, not burn it down. And so his political aspirations are gone like that. Or do we see, and this will be very interesting because I'd imagine, she's probably marshaling her forces, and do we see a return of Hillary Clinton in the very near future? I think we might, man. I really think we might. And then, of course, Big Mike, but it's always been earmarked that, yeah, she's going to be the 28. Okay, she's going to be out there in a couple years' time. She's going to be a little bit more out there on the campaign trail in the lead up. Okay, she's going to be taking the point, or I guess the center position where she's more accustomed to, and then run a shadow campaign in the lead up to the next election cycle. And yeah, That would more than likely be the best way that they can go. So, if the Democrats don't want to seem like they're throwing in the towel on this one, yeah, they'll have multiple nominees. You'll see Whitmer throw her towel into the ring. Gavin Newsom will take one of his skin masks or perhaps a bottle of hair gel, and you know what? Hey, we see what's happening with Kamala right now, and we want to be able to beat Trump or whatever their narrative going forward is going to end up being. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So moving forward with this week, and that's why I had to do the 4th video today. That's why we had to talk about this right now, because this is going to be an ever-evolving situation. If the Democrats have resigned to their fate, you're going to see Kamala. You're going to see RFK potentially. Still think that there's a high likelihood, and especially with the betting market reflecting it, is that I think that they're just throwing in the towel on this one. Or if we start to hear a few more rumblings from Whitmer, Newsom, Clinton, or Obama, you know that they're desperate, you know that they're greedy, and yeah, I would be concerned about that. I've been mentioning just, you know, my high level of concern when it comes to Gavin Newsom, when it comes to Gretchen Whitmer, okay, because most people who have the power to vote are very emotional beings. It's not so much what you say, it's how you say it. That's why so many people are convinced by the lies of the mainstream media that Orange Man is really bad. You just don't understand how bad he is. But they can't cite a specific example of why he's so bad. It's just everybody's been telling him that he is. Whereas Gavin Newsom, provably awful in every aspect. Same with Gretchen Whitmer, and she actually arguably has more skeletons in her closet in her more condensed political career. It's going to be tough, okay? Because she's going to have the woman card. She's going to have kidnapping card to play. So yeah, it's going to be tough, and it's definitely going to be an interesting week. It's going to be an interesting month in the lead up to the DNC, and well, we'll see if Joe can also make it to the end. I definitely hope that he does, okay? This isn't going to be one of those turnabout is fair play type situations where you've seen a bunch of leftists celebrate what happened to Trump last week. No, okay? I don't like Joe Biden. I think that he's a terrible person who has told you exactly what he thinks about the opposition. I don't like any of his politics, but I also want him to be healthy. I want him to make it out until the end of the term, and then he can go and retire, okay? I would say, you know, spend the rest of his time with his loved ones, bouncing his grandchildren on his knee. But you know what, if Joe can just go and retire and sit on a porch, preferably away from children, yeah, he would be a less of a danger for the country and for those children that he's going to have way too much time on his hands for moving forward. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.